All right, hello out there in the world. G Cherry here. I'm excited to have Victoria Eloise in the house. We're going to get all into some wild stuff that she's been doing a bunch of work, and excited to have her back. And hopefully, all of the things I've done to make my system work better are going to work now, even though I had an audio problem with Victoria for a minute. Well, let me bring
It
her
was my
right
fault. It was
in.
my fault.
No, not at all. I think what happened is, well, let me add you to the right. I think what happened is that I had something off on my button. So you might have a button off too, but then you got it figured out, and it was like, anyway, we're here, we're live. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Things are wild in the world. You know, I I promised myself that the next time I came on your show, I would say I was wrong about the inauguration. I was wrong about the. I thought honesty and fairness would prevail, and I do hope that it does sooner rather than later. But I was really sure that wasn't going to happen, and it did. So I'm so sorry. An alarm of mine is going off, and I don't. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay. Really,
So
so sorry.
it's a strange time indeed, and the only thing I could call it right now that I think fits perfectly is it's clown world. It's utterly clown world, and in a dark kind of scary clown world way, and that
Yeah.
is what's I think is so shocking and disturbing with what's happening, including like the intensity of like censorship, and you got to be careful how you talk about things, on these social media giants. But I think we just got to keep on fighting as best we can, and it's always darkest
Agreed. That's
before
all.
dawn.
That's all. That's all you can. That's all you can do. I've learned that. Like, this is really sad, but the one thing that I don't talk about it really on Facebook anymore is vaccines,
Yeah.
because that will get you doxxed so quick. Which is like disturbing.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah,
I've actually am
yeah.
in jeopardy on my YouTube channel. So I have a personal YouTube troll. Hi, YouTube troll, because we are streaming on YouTube and Twitter right now, as well as Facebook. So YouTube, I don't even want to say that word. I'm not even going to say the V word. If I talk about the V word on YouTube, they strike. I have 2 strikes now. Um, and the channel I've
Yeah.
had for a long time, and have done all kinds of videos on it. And just recently, they've gotten really bad with censorship. So today we're not going to get into that aspect of things. But what you were
No.
talking to me about was pretty. Tell me about this. What you found. Let's like jump right into it.
So, with the corrupt government, which is not just, I mean, Joe Biden didn't enter the government and it became, well, yes, it became more corrupt, but there was a lot of corruption. There were people in the Justice Department while Trump was president, that were corrupt. People, the people 40 and 50 years worth of, like the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas. There's a lot of corruption that has been festering in the United States government for years now, and that leaves no shortage of information to find. And so I really I don't watch news anymore at all. I don't really turn on the TV too much. Even like Fox News or anything like that. They're not super into the truth. And so I go over independent medias, like all really great ones: Western Journal, Populist Press, uh, Gateway Pundit. But then I also like to look globally. Like read the Moscow Times, the Myanmar Times, China Daily. Like I just like to take all different. And so I'll find something that, like, oh, well, that looks interesting, and I'll start to read and research and read and research. And the topic that I've said this before, the topic that I start with is never the topic that I finish with. But yesterday I was reviewing, because the Chinese Communist Party is
scary. Scary?
Like, it's amazing. You know, the states that have the most problems are, it's just a fact that they're Democrat states. I have nothing against the general Democrat population, but the states that are the most dangerous, the states that have the most, all types of fraud and criminality and crime, those are Democrat-run states. And those are states with the most CCP influence. Now, we're technically supposed to call it the People's Republic of China, but it's the Chinese Communist Party. It's not like they hide it. That's what they are. And they are so influential in our country. It's astounding. And over the last 4 or 5 decades, their power has grown, which is where we are today. Now we're living in essentially a communist era, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And that's because of the Chinese Communist Party influence. It's about 80% them, you know, like they're, when you're a free republic, I mean, we always had problems, but when you're a republic and you want to become a communist country, you need guides. You need like people who have done the communism thing before. And so, you know, you have all these corrupt government officials and globalists, and they looked to China. They were like, how do we do communism? And so and especially in our universities, I posted a thing last night. I found a letter from the head of the letter from the United States Senate to the head of the Department of Education, and they talked about the soft power campaign. Soft power meaning like overt power is like you go to war with a country, and like you know, with soft power you're doing it under the, like you're going into universities and you're teaching, you know, like Confucius Institutes. You're not doing war, but you're still embedding your ways of, you know, your goals. Like, and so one of the things that I found interesting, and then we'll go to xenobiological, is the leading all of our Ivy Leagues, our best schools in the country, receive the most Chinese Communist Party money.
Wow.
And the leading recipient of Chinese Communist Party money is MIT. The leading research and technology institute in the United States is also the largest recipient of Chinese Communist Party money. And you know, the way the CCP works is they send their brightest and best to various countries, and they don't let these kids go and say, here, you enjoy your life, you come back and visit us, bring your family back one day. No, they're constantly reporting back to the CCP. They're stealing their trade secrets, all sorts of things. A lot of people got arrested in 2020. Chinese professor at Harvard, Charles Lieber, I think his name was. So there's a lot of CCP influence in our country. So I was reviewing that, and I came across this company, Xenobiological. And I don't know if do you want to share screen?
Yeah, let's totally share screen. So let me see. How do we, I think it might be on your end possibly to do the share.
Okay.
You see it?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
So hopefully this works. So I'm not seeing it yet.
Your entire screen. Oops. Good. Your entire screen. Share.
Did it do it? I don't see. Oh, hold on a second. Now it's on my end. Just a second. Let me get this. I'm going to put you.
Oh, you know
Oh,
what?
look, we're both look, there you are. Okay, I got it. I got you. Do you see you on your
Yes.
end?
Yeah. So you can see the green screen, right?
I can see the
Where
green
it says,
screen.
you can see all this, right?
I can
Great,
see it.
great,
I
great,
can see
great.
it.
So I am just going to put my,
Let me see something here.
bear with me here. Just want to turn my, okay. So here we have Xenobiological. This is a company that they claim, and we're going to look at this, they claim they have an office in the US, but as is the case with many, take for example, Dominion voting systems, they're in Canada. They have a little,
Dominion voting systems is in Canada. This is,
yes, they're not in
is,
Colorado. They say they're in Colorado. They have a teeny little 1-bedroom office, a teeny little 1-bedroom office. But this is what corrupt companies do overseas. Their main hub is overseas, and they won't even have a full office. They'll have a lawyer in the United States or some little rinky-dink thing so that they can conduct business in the United States. If you do not have an office or a quote unquote office, if you do not have a lawyer it's supposed to be an office, because to transact business in the United States, you have to be in the United States or you have to be registered with FARA. And so what they do is they get a lawyer, they get whatever, and then they say, oh, we're in the United States. This company is in China, and they are a virus research company.
what?
They sell virus, yeah. So they sell, which is common, there's research, there's companies besides universities that do all sorts of researching,
Yeah.
and so it's very common. So this is their website, and they so they do all sorts, they sell right online, all sorts of, they sell tests, they sell viruses, all different kinds of viruses, from H1N1 to Ebola to all these different things. So this is not super uncommon. Now, so the next thing, this next page here. So this is one of their documents. Sorry, I'll keep zooming. So this is a few pages we're going to go through. Here you can see on the left, this is like an order form. Okay, this is everything they, at least in this spreadsheet, this is what this is a website, not Xenobiological. This is a website that sells COVID-19 antibodies. And it also lists, they don't just sell antibodies, they sell reagents, they sell ELISA tests, they sell other things as well. Now on the right here, on the right under supplier, where it says, do you see where it highlighted Xenobiological? So you can see that on the right, Xenobiological is selling SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV-2 nucleocapsid antibody, blah, blah, blah. And there are other companies selling these things as well. You have GeneTech, BioVision, a bunch of companies. And there are other, bear with me here. So when I found this document, because I was looking for, what was I looking for? I was looking through the genetic, because there's something to, when a company is the first company to decode a genetic sequence, whether it's for a virus or for a disease or for the human genome, the company that is the first to do that, there's something to that, so, and Xenobiological was one of the first to do that in relation to COVID-19. So while I was looking up, the genetics of COVID, I came across this document, and I had never heard of xenobiological before. So I started to research them. And this is just a last page related to, and you see all the things they sell here, SARS-CoV-2, nucleoprotein, blah, 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 blah. So then it got a little weird. So I started researching who is xenobiological too. I mean, really. So I started looking at some of their research studies, because you can find a lot of, like, who is this company working with? Who are their partners? Because that's you are the company you keep in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So I was looking at, I found quite a few studies. We're going to go to page 2 really quick. So it says here in the document, recombinant WT and mutant proteins were generated by xenobiological in Beijing, China. Oh, look, I forgot about this part. They also got products from Thermo Fisher Scientific.
Oh,
we
really?
know all about.
How interesting is that?
Oh, yeah. So corrupt. So going back to the first page, one of the authors of this study, sorry, it's just taking me a little minute to scroll here, is the 174th Hospital of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. So that's the Chinese military. Okay, so we know that this study, xenobiological, was involved with the PLA, at least in terms of because this is all of the authors. There's other authors as well, but one of those authors is a hospital for the Chinese military, which I thought was interesting. Moving on, we're just going to go through a couple of these. So this one is from 2017, and one of the authors, Wuhan Institute of Virology, Chinese Academy of Sciences, and People's Republic of China. Okay, and page 2 of that document says mouse NAB to influenza A, H1N1, blah, 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 were purchased from xenobiological. So now we know that because this document is from 2017, we know that the Wuhan Institute of Virology has an established relationship with xenobiological. Fine, okay, next document. Okay.
Man. So okay, I'm gonna let you get through where you're going.
It's gonna get so much better. I'll pause. I'll pause soon.
You just do your thing, girl. I'm listening.
Okay. So this is from May 2020. A joint research team led by the Sunny Z. I don't want to screw that up. Sunny Z, director of Beijing Advanced Innovation Center, Zhenan. So this was related to the study of SARS-CoV-2, which is fine because it's in 2020. So the work was conducted by Academy of Military Medical Sciences, and Xenobiological. So we know that Xenobiological is participating in research studies with the Chinese military. Okay.
Wow.
That's not the crazy part. We have another study here that names, they're talking about SARS-CoV-2, another one that names xenobiological, and this one, the Academy of Military Medical Sciences. So the point of me saying that, actually, let me show you this last one as well. So there's another study. I'm sorry, my computer's a little glitchy. And the bottom here says the People's Liberation Army of Beijing, China, and highlighted. And page 2 of that document talks about xenobiological's participation. So we know that based off these documents that xenobiological has a relationship with the Chinese Communist Party, the Chinese military, and the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Fine, okay? So here, now look at this. So this is a contract document. The National Institute of Health, okay, Anthony Fauci, contracted Xenobiological in April 2020.
What?
To yeah, for SARS-CoV. They ordered SARS-CoV. So I mean, I think this is outrageous, but it's not the first. I mean, it's not like we do business with the Chinese, the People's Republic of China. We do, of course, for biological and biopharmaceutical drugs.
Tons of medicines are coming out
exactly.
of China.
Right. But I find it interesting that, like, did we need to, and this contract was only for $24,000. I mean, what could they possibly have done for us with $24,000? I found it was interesting of all the companies. And, they might have had, based on their relationship with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which Anthony Fauci would know about, because he, after the gain of function research was banned in the United States, Fauci moved his research over to Wuhan. So it's not like it makes sense that, the National Institute of Health would have a relationship with Xenobiological. Do I wish that we were not contracting with companies that had relationships with the Chinese military? Yeah, but what do I know? Okay, so this next document, this is actually just proof of the contract. We were just looking at a document that a great source, but that source isn't a federal source. This one is. This is from the United States Contracting Portal, and it does show that the HHS and Xenobiological work together for something related to COVID in April. Now, look at this. Open checkbook.
Oh,
this
where's
is
that?
Open checkbook.
Connecticut.
This is for Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Look at that, Xenobiological. So we paid them. We've only paid them $6,752, which is not very much. But do we have to be dealing with that? I mean, I don't know. Okay, here we go. Here's another thing. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh my gosh.
Surprise,
this is right
surprise. This is right off the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation website. Bill and Melinda Gates gave Xenobiological a $200,000 grant to support colloidal gold in ELISA diagnosis of COVID-19, to speed up innovation and increase the availability, blah, 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 blah. So we can pretty much right there decide who these people are, because they deal with Bill and Melinda Gates, two of the greatest criminals on the planet. Okay, next page. So this is from the SEC. Now it's interesting. There's a couple xenobiologicals in the U.S., but none of them are what they claim to be. The only xenobiological that you would think of in terms of, like, okay, a big lab with, like, testing and all sorts of levels, like, experimentation, all these things. The things that exist in the United States are like, they're just like a register, like a lawyer or an office, a small office, just to get them in, just so that they can do business in the United States. Now, this is from the SEC, just said that. This is their website, xenobiological.com, but they call themselves Xenobiological USA in the United States. Now, this address down here, let me just scroll up here, 418, do you see that, or is it too small? 418.
I see it. I do see that.
It says 418 Industrial Drive, PA. Okay. Well, that is not so 418 Industrial Drive in Pennsylvania is actually a company called RMI Laboratories. So I don't know why they put, I don't, to me, this suggests criminality, because the xenobiologic, that's not the address, you know? That's the registered, here's more proof of that.
It's
that's
not
the
like
registered address.
They're not like making a mistake. These are documents that this is on, and they're...
Yeah, it's not an accident.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they do this on, they because nobody really checks this stuff. I mean, they're not expecting someone like me to be finding, you know, and to be finding this, or someone like you know, researchers finding this information now. Okay, this is bananas. Okay, so I typed into Google xenobiological USA and xenobiological, and this is what came back. Xenobiologic US Incorporated, located, this is it on the left here, this is a big, which this is an office complex. I find it interesting, you know, this is not a biopharmaceutical lab, okay? But anyways, so this company, oh my God, I can't believe this. This company is in what's called the Chesterbrook Corporate Center, okay? Now, look at this. In August 2019, David Rubenstein, founder of the Carlyle Group, okay? He's a globalist. This is like New World Order stuff. He bought that building.
Wow.
In August 20, he bought, so where Xenobiological is a quote unquote in Chesterbrook Corporate Center, he bought that center in August of 2019. To me, that's bananas.
Yeah, it is.
Rubenstein Partners acquires Chesterbrook Corporate Center. The firm is led by David Rubenstein. Now I'm just going to read this. He's an American billionaire, businessman, and philanthropist. Criminal.
Philanthropist.
A former, we know what that means, okay? A former, he used to work for the government. He is co-executive chairman, co-founder of, it's actually the largest private equity firm in the world, I believe, Carlyle Group. It's in DC. He's chairman of the Kennedy Center, Performing Arts, Smithsonian Institute.
With the Kennedy Center, just to back up for just a second, wasn't there a bunch of money given to the Kennedy Center during the recent stimulus packages?
Oh yeah. I think they got several $100 million. They've gotten money out of all of the COVID stimuluses, or of all of the help. They've managed to finagle their way into those funds. So I thought that was bananas that he bought this building, you know, a few months before, 3 months before COVID hit, 2 months. And this is the same building where this company is related to the Chinese military. And he buys the building where the company is quote unquote in. I just thought that was bananas. Okay. So just a couple things here about the Carlyle Group. They're globalists. You know, this is exactly what you would think. Carlyle Group resolves pension investigation for $20 million, pay to play scandal, $115 million to settle collusion case. The Fed chair and vice chair got rich at the couch. So Edward Snowden talked about the Carlyle Group because the Carlyle Group is in deep with the Department of Defense. Well known, so they deal in government contracts. So it makes perfect sense to me after reading all this that the Carlyle Group, who's involved with the Department of Defense, is also involved with the Chinese military. You know, so now look at this. Just on a side note here, Dominion Voting Systems was acquired by its management team. So a company called, in 2018, a company called Staple Street Capital bought Dominion Voting Systems. This is kind of old news. Well, the founders, Staple Street Capital, was founded by the founders of Carlyle Group.
Oh my gosh. So
So
corrupt.
yeah. So you have, and remember, the Carlyle Group just bought that. We were just looking at that. So all of these connections. So like Staple Street Capital buys Dominion Voting Systems. What do you know? The Staple Street Capital founders are also the Carlyle Group founders. Come on. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, just a couple other things on Carlyle. So this on the Carlyle Group, this is from 2014, and I just want to, it kind of just speaks to the caliber of the Carlyle Group. I'm going to read this to you. Getting a politician to take action that is beneficial to Carlyle is nothing new for the company. After all, Carlyle has a history of affiliating with politicians of the highest rank after they leave office. Carlyle also accepts investors whose interests often run counter to American domestic and foreign policy. In 1991, Prince Alwaleed bin Talal, I'm going to screw that, a member of the royal family of Saudi Arabia, used Carlyle as advisors when he bought $550 million stake in Citigroup to become the bank's largest shareholder. In 2007, this is bananas, at the direction of Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the investment company owned by the government of Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, bought a 7.5% stake in Carlyle, and this is the most notoriously in 2001, on the very same day as the attack on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Carlyle was holding an investment conference in Washington, and the guest of honor was none other than the brother of Osama bin Laden.
Wow.
So, yeah, this document's from 2014. This is old news.
Wow.
But, so that's, yeah. And then this last portion on Carlyle, two more portions. So, George Soros pledges $100 million in Carlyle funds. There's another, that's from 93. The one on the right here is from 2016. Soros set up an offshore company in the Cayman Islands for the purpose of investing private equity with the Carlyle Group. Carlyle's partners include ex-heads of state and former CIA officials. The private equity partnership specializes in buying and selling weapons, manufacturing, and intelligence gathering companies with government and military contracts. And it uses secret offshore companies to conduct business. So so it cannot be a coincidence that the Carlyle Group buys the building, He doesn't buy the office. He doesn't buy the floor or something, He buys the building where this company, Biological, exists. Now, just one more thing regarding, because, what discussion on corrupt globalists would be complete without a discussion on Epstein.
Oh, man, you tie it to that. Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
David Rubenstein, who is the founder of Carlyle Group, which we're just talking about. So I am just going to read page 2 of this document that we're looking at right here. So this is a few pages long, this article, but here's page 2. Let me just say this real quick. Ghislaine Maxwell began the British-based charity Terramar Project and was featured speaker at the Arctic Circle Assembly in Reykjavik. The Arctic Circle Assembly was founded by Alice Rogoff. That's David Rubenstein's wife.
Wow.
So so Rogoff is still on the advisory board for the organization, but there's no indication the ladies have kept up their alliance, which absolutely means nothing. If you had any affiliation to Jeffrey Epstein or anything related to them, you shut down. Like you're not going to talk about being friends with Ghislaine Maxwell anymore, you know? But I thought I just wanted to show here a little proof about, so this is an event at the Kennedy Center on the right in 2016, David Rubenstein with his wife, Alice Rogoff. So it's 100% her.
Wow.
So yeah. So, and it even says it right here in the last line. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, Rogoff and her husband, David Rubenstein. So they're definitely connected, or at least his ex-wife. I believe they're divorced now. They is a friend of Ghislaine Maxwell.
How very interesting. This whole Epstein thing and Ghislaine Maxwell, and what's going on with that, by the way, right? So what is that? What is happening with that? Going on with that in this moment? That's something that's pretty wild that I just can't help but think about.
Yeah, it's, you know, there are a lot of people out there. Look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I like to read conspiracies. You know, I like to read everything that's out there. I like to read say you have a point. I like to read the for and the against and all the bullshit in the middle. You know, I like to, that's why I watch CNN and why I watch, you know, leftists, why I read the Washington Post, because I want to know what everybody is saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's there are people out there who believe that. I'm not saying I believe this, because there's no point in even saying that, because I will never know. I wasn't at the prison. I don't have access to his medical records. But a lot of people believe he's not dead, and believe that he has been working with, you know, if you believe in like the plan, the quote unquote plan, and all the globalists are going to be arrested, and the, you know, Rothschilds are already in jail, that kind of stuff. If you believe that, a lot of people believe that he's not dead and working against the globalists now, you know. But then in regard to that, the other stuff, you know, I've read a lot of his files. I've read his little black book, and I've read a lot of the names in there. And I've seen a lot of the photos that I wish I hadn't seen. And pretty much anyone you can think might be involved is involved. Like if you think of all the celebrities and all the globalists and all the elites, yeah, they're all involved. But, you know, and I've read the court filings. I've read, you know, everything these girls were saying was true. It's all true. And it's just a matter of, because our judicial system is so corrupt, records that should have been released to the public are now dying in some clerk's office. Like that, you know, they're making it, unless we see this kind of massive plan unfold, like where all the bad guys go to jail, I don't think anything's going to happen unless you believe in the plan, unless there is a plan. Because, you know, same way they got away with stealing the election. Like these people are very, very rich and very powerful. And so there isn't like too much to report on it. You know, we've seen everything we will see unless the plan comes to fruition, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. I'm absolutely blown away by.
Oh, we have more. Now we're about to get to Connecticut's involvement.
Oh my God! Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, we're not done yet.
What? Oops, yeah. Wrong screen, guys. Sorry about that. Oops. Hold on a second. Let me get this back.
A little bit more.
Hold on. I got like a.
Yeah.
I think we have a double screen in there. Hold on a second.
Oh, here we go. How's that?
Yeah, that's better. Better. Perfect.
Okay. So now that we've left the globalist discussion, okay. So now, it's very interesting. There's something I haven't been able to. I need to read more about the meaning of the prefix Sino, because Sino is, it's, it means something in the Chinese language in terms of like how the government uses it. It's not, it's used in many descriptions, like when you're discussing U.S. People's Republic of China relations, they call it Sino-U.S. relations.
Interesting.
And there's, I don't know enough about it to speak super intelligently on it, but I just wanted to point out that there's the Sino prefix that is referenced in Department of Defense documents, in SEC files, in, you know, in Delaware LLCs. There's all sorts of, so we're going to look at this one. We're going to look at this one specifically. This is Sino C Inc., registered in September of 2019, which I'm sorry, but anything that fits within like 90 days of the biological weapon being, you know, it is like, it's suspect to me. But anyway, so here we have this company, Sino C, and remember, the company we were just talking about was Sino Biological. So here we are looking at Sino C, the Securities and Exchange Commission document. Oh, jurisdiction of incorporation, Connecticut. See that? On the bottom there, or right there? Okay. Now, that's not, go a little bit slower than I'd like. Okay, now I just want to point this out here. This is also, so here we have, this is again the Securities and Exchange Commission page that talks about all of the, you know, you just type in a name or a company and it'll give you back all the information it has. So I thought it was interesting on the bottom here, you know, you have Sino Biological USA, which this was registered 7 weeks before the company in Connecticut was registered, which I thought was interesting. But then you have 2 other ones here. Now, Sino Biological, the one in China, was founded in 2007, I believe. So I think, so what these are is, these have to be related to the HHS contract, because, so this is a list of businesses registered to do business in the United States. So before July of 2019, Sino was not doing business in the United States, or at least not according to the Securities and Exchange Commission, even though the company's been around since 2007. So I thought that was interesting. So moving, we're almost, let me just go to page, so this is page 2 of that page I just showed you with Connecticut. I'll flip back here, right there, Sino C in Connecticut. Okay, now look at
Connecticut.
So yeah. So this quote unquote company is supposedly located at 29 Sherwood Street, Storrs, Connecticut. Now this, you're gonna die when you see. So this is an other technology company. So let's talk about the address first. So 29 Sherwood Street in Storrs, Connecticut. Well, that's weird because according to the UConn off-campus housing website, that address is a student apartment.
What?
So, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So so this is the type of shit I'm talking about. So you know that, I'm not saying that this is what UConn is doing, okay? But earlier in mid-2020, a Chinese professor at Harvard was arrested and jailed for being a Chinese spy for the Chinese Communist Party. He's stealing trade. He was recruiting students at Harvard to join the China. This was very common. You know, it happened in Connecticut in 2016, I believe. The Chinese nationals were arrested and jailed for stealing trade secrets. You can look that up right on the DOJ if your listeners want to. You know, Connecticut, Chinese espionage, justice.gov. You'll be at 2016.
Connecticut, Chinese espionage. Do you hear
Yeah.
this, guys? We live
Oh,
in the
yeah.
belly of the beast when it comes to freaking corruption. It's insane.
Terrible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
That's why our state is a mess.
Yeah, yeah. So I just, again, that 29 Sherwood Street up there, you see that right there. Well, that's a Yukon address.
Yeah.
29 Sherwood Street. With why? You know?
Interesting.
Okay, now we're almost done here. Now look, so that document we were just looking at, Pheno C in Connecticut, someone paid $100 million. Look at that.
What?
Look at that. 100 million. Offering and sales amount, total offering, $100 million. Now you're gonna, now look at this. So what I did is I went into Google and I typed in Pheno C Inc. Okay? Pheno C Inc. is the parent company. The subsidiary is a company called M-Chain Technology Researching and Funding. Now, this is the company's website, and it's actually, let me pull this up real quick, a blockchain company.
Oh.
You know what? Yeah. So, and before I even go further, and then I found the Pheno CT website, and it's blockchain cryptocurrency company. Can you believe that? Pheno C is a public blockchain system for the storage and gaming industries. We create decentralized data, storage spaces, and public blockchain products for decentralized applications. Now, what is COVID contact tracing uses blockchain technology.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you have this company, so you have Pheno C, you have, bear with me, let me just go back here real quick. It's important. I wish this wasn't. Okay, so you have Pheno C in Connecticut. This document was from September 2019. Okay, and then that company, a blockchain cryptocurrency company, so that's the company. And so you have that company set up in September 2019, a company that does blockchain for COVID-19. And it's like, what?
This is just
you know?
It's
bananas.
So bad.
Okay,
this is ridiculously bad.
We have five more screenshots here, and then we're done. So I thought this is Concord, okay? So Pheno C is absolutely in it. This is state of Connecticut. The date of registration was March 2018, but based on that SEC document, they didn't start transacting and with funds until 2019. And I thought it was funny when they filed their first incorporation document, it was registered out of Las Vegas. So bunch of sketchiness. Now, I thought it was interesting that Pheno Biological, I showed you that open checkbook page, remember, where it said we were paying Pheno Biological. Okay, well then why aren't they registered in the state of Connecticut to do business? Do you see that right there? No records found for Pheno Biological. Why? Now, last but not least, so here we go again. So the Sino-American Pharmaceutical Professionals Association, this is in Connecticut, obviously. This is BioCT website. This is our biopharmaceutical page. Oh, you're gonna die for this part. The mission of SAPA CT is to promote, this is their website on the right here, SAPA CT, is to promote the advancement of pharmaceutical science and biotechnology, to contribute to public health education, to facilitate scientific exchange and business cooperation between the U.S. and China. Okay, so so this is China, excuse me, not China. This is what we're supposed to call the People's Republic of China, which is actually, because the shot callers are the Chinese Communist Party. So this is Connecticut, literally, like our government biopharmaceutical industry in Connecticut is in full-on league with the Chinese Communist Party. It just is. Now, look at this. So you're going to die when you see this, Jay. So you see on the right here, it says SAPA CT. That's literally what we're discussing. Guess who one of their partners is? Boehringer Ingelheim. Yup. And on the left here, one of their partners, Sino Biological, the company that we've been talking about this whole time, or these last couple of minutes, we've been talking about Sino C, but you could at the beginning, we were talking about Sino Biological, and here it is, right, with SAPA CT and Bio CT. So, and we know, based on all the documents I just showed you, that Sino Biological has a relationship with the Chinese military, obviously. We also know that they have a long relationship with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And so our biopharmaceutical sector, at least as it pertains to government in Connecticut, like what money goes where for what research projects, what's allowed, what prescriptions, what CDS cells, what literally anything that is wide open to both the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese military. And that's disturbing. And this last screenshot here,
oh my God,
is I just wanted to point out this last part here. So, CEO of, I know. I really wanted to jam pack as much corruption as I could, because we haven't seen each other in so long, and I was like, I'm going to do this right. So CEO of Hunter, but when the whole Tony Bobolinsky thing was going on, like how that guy came forward and said, I used to work with Joe Biden and Hunter, and yes, they did do these deals with the Chinese, and he turned over his phones and his laptop and all these things. So, and one thing I just wanted to point out, so when Joe Biden and Hunter were doing all of their corruption and dealing with the Chinese Communist Party, because that's in large part how they got so wealthy, from the CCP. Now, the company that Tony Bobolinsky, so I'm just going to read you this. This is Tony Bobolinsky in a statement released Wednesday night and first reported by Breitbart. The email, Bobolinsky said the email is genuine. What I am outlining is this, it's fact. I know it is fact because I lived it. I am the CEO of Sinohawk. So you know how Sinohawk Holdings, which was a partnership between the Chinese operating through CEFC Chairman Yi and the Biden family. So there's that Sino prefix. So that the Sinohawk Holdings is this was related to like the big oil, the $1 billion oil, and all this craziness that happened. But I thought it was, I just wanted to point out, so like the Sino prefix, that is absolutely, it is a label, a demarcation related to the most important people in the Chinese Communist Party. Like the people, you don't get the Sino demarcation if you're just like, working, if you own an auto parts store.
Yeah.
No. So I think, I just thought it was, so we have Sino Biologicals, we have Sino C in Connecticut, we have Sino Hawk. Like, so I thought it was, so it's really, it's bananas, the amount of, so there you go.
Wow, that is so wild, Victoria. I'm just like blown away by this 100%.
And what's such a problem is because, like, for Boehringer Ingelheim, which you've talked a lot about it, we've talked about it, the financial ties to House Speaker Matt Ritter, and his father, and his mother, the Supreme Court Justice in Connecticut, Boehringer's doing all sorts of vaccine stuff. And it's like, so, like, companies like Boehringer, it's just the connection, the involvement of the Chinese Communist Party is profound. And it's not in every state, but it's Connecticut is a stronghold for the CCP. Connecticut, Georgia, California, Pennsylvania, New York, and there's a couple other ones in there as well. Colorado, there's a couple, and Connecticut, so we see the rule, like, basically the states with the most draconian lockdown orders are the states with the most CCP influence. It's funny how that so it's like, it's really bananas.
It's kind of interesting too, from my understanding of what's going on right now. We are on a race too with, like, it's like a technology race with the 5G as well. Like, so so what the Chinese Communist Party has done to the Chinese people is they've horrible, and they're under total surveillance right now. Complete
all
surveillance.
Day, they live in fear.
Yes. And so what I forget where it was, what I was reading. I apologize about that, but the whole idea was it's wrapped in 5G. It goes into the climate change initiatives, the green stuff, the Green New Deal. All that stuff is like really code word for this type of fascist lockdown to tax the people into such a state of submission via they call it inclusiveness and equity, and what they mean is we'll all be included in the equity of poverty under total control of the government,
and if you,
like the communists.
If you want to get and if you want to get real crazy with it, like, so how I forget his first name, but one of the Rothschilds, he filed that patent for and Bill Gates has as well. And IBM has invested in like blockchain cryptocurrency for your body, like inside your, and so you have these, we're not going to say the word, it rhymes with, you have these that have nanoparticles in them, like mRNA, and so many people believe that this thing it goes into your body, and then with the blockchain technology and the 5G activates it.
That's the whole connection.
That's
the whole
and then
connection.
Your body, your wallet is your body.
Yeah, and this is what they're trying to bring into the United States. And I think when I look around the world, with other people in other places in the world, there's a lot of protests in the community with the citizens, and I get really upset seeing here in the United States that there's not as much pushback as I think that there should be, considering what's at stake, coming from a country that prided itself on freedom and liberty and free speech, that are like, people are like, let's have a passport to get on a plane. Let's have, and I'm not just talking like a regular passport. Biometric security state. And so what the Chinese have done, and what the United States is trying to do, is to run society like China is, where you cannot travel. There are certain zones that you have to have a pass for. If you don't have a pass, you're in trouble. And then the social credit score, that is coming to the United States as well. And this is where the people need to start to, this is not conspiracy, guys. That was amazing research. Thank you so much. I missed you. We got to get together regularly, because we got to follow all this crazy money that is about to be dispersed into the states, especially even our state. And what they're doing is, this is how we unravel their plans. Your research is spot on. Thank you so much for that. That is terrifying, actually, what you uncovered. and the connection into our own state in Connecticut. And some people say, oh, that's just nothing. Oh, and I find it interesting too, is that now there's this new thing in the media about this Asian hate and white supremacy, and we've got it. It's really meant to divide us, and then to say, oh, you can't have that conversation talking about Wuhan and the lab because that's hateful, because you're pointing at the Chinese for this. Well, yes, the Chinese government is corrupt like the United States government. It's equal opportunity here.
That's ignorant, because like the Chinese Communist Party is a small group of, like, when I talk about the CCP, this is not a discussion on China.
Yeah.
This is a discussion on the villainous, evil, murderous Chinese Communist Party.
Yes.
They have millions of people in concentration camps. We're not allowed to talk about that. But so for me, I don't get tied up in that, because it's like, I'm not going to not have conversations that have to be had because you have the media trying to, so nothing, I speak about all corruption,
Yes.
of all groups, of any. If you're corrupt, I would speak about you. If it was Donald Trump that was corrupt, I would speak about him. Unfortunately, I couldn't get healthcare and couldn't get. The reason I started this, just because I wanted to get healthcare and not have criminally negligent healthcare, that brought me to where it brought me. And it brought me to the corruptions of these globalists. Had it been a different subject, I may not have ended there. But they want you, so like people like the globalists and people like Joe Biden, and he doesn't know what he's saying anymore.
He's
it's actually
really
sad.
It is sad. It's sad to see.
They want you to not have the conversation. That's what they want, because
it's crazy.
Keeping people in the dark keeps them ignorant. Mm-hmm. So if someone says to me, you're being, the correct term is actually colorism, racism. It's not even, race. There's no biological basis for that. But when they say that, like if someone says to me, "Oh, you're racist," or "Oh, you're a colorist," say, "What?" This is strictly about corruption and getting the bad people where they belong, in prison. And so the CCP, the CCP is the exact same thing as our elites in the United States. Like the Carlyle Group, like David Rubenstein, like people like that, people who pull the strings and have all the money and keep all the wealth, make all the rules, break all the laws. And this has nothing to do with, and I truly hope that nobody gets offended, but it's also, I'm not going to apologize for talking about a topic related to corrupt, evil people. Nothing to do with the entire Chinese people.
Yeah, that's so well said. I appreciate that, because they're trying to squash the conversation with this kind of nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a conversation that we need to have. And if we look at China, too, there's some mind-blowing stuff about the Chinese and the Chinese government, the Chinese elites that are in control, not the people. What's really interesting about them is how they have concentration camps for the Muslim people, and there's a name for the Whitakers or Whitakers. I may be saying that wrong.
It's Ueyber. I think Uber. Yeah. I mispronounce it all the time, but yeah.
They go
it's going
millions
on 2 million now.
Yeah, and they put them in these adult re-education camps, and they train the children in these indoctrination schools, and it's bizarre. And then here's another interesting thing, because there's this black content producer that I follow in Africa, and he's really pretty interesting. He's something Ghana is his channel. I'm sorry, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but he's this African content producer, and he goes to China. He talks a lot about the Chinese and the racism there with the Chinese government, especially with the black people. And when they were put out onto the street, these black people from Africa were traveling through China, and they were like, it was weird. They were like quarantined and thrown out, and they weren't allowed to come back. And so it was so horrendous, the story that he was telling. And I was just like, this is so mind blowing. This is stuff that the American media tries to pretend isn't there, and don't talk about any of these things that are going on that show the corruption globally and the connections that it has to our own society.
It's not just based on, you know, race or being a Muslim or anything. Dissidence is a huge, like, you and me, we would be jailed.
Yeah.
For, you are not, they have one, like, they control the internet. You can't, you can't talk like this in China. Yeah. Like, you cannot talk about corruption of the Chinese. You will be jailed.
Yeah.
Like, if you are you don't even have to be a well-known activist. Say some person's friend of a friend of a friend just happened to know someone in the CCP and said, hey, look at this girl, look at this video. They could come and arrest you. And there's a lot of people, a lot of patriots, Chinese patriots, just like you and me, doing this, trying to do this very same thing, who are in prison. And the last thing I want to say is that I think the reason we don't see, so the CCP has been oppressing their people for
a
long time, hundreds and years, and we have not been oppressed like on the scale. So the Chinese people have been dealing with this oppression for so long, and so I think that they're doing a lot more. They're like, hello, like they're tired. They've been dealing with this for a really horribly long time, and we're just getting used to it. This is like of course, the general public is getting used to. This is a brand new concept. Censorship in America. We've never had it on this scale. So I think as the next few years go on, because people are saying like, oh, COVID will be over soon. Okay, if it's over soon, it's coming right. Maybe they'll open things back up for a year or two, and then they're gonna another. Yes, and this is how it's gonna be. Period. From now on, and so people are going to, as that time goes on, I think we'll see an explosion of marches and demonstrations and things like that. But we're like we're a baby to it in a lot of ways,
I agree with that 100%. And I think it's sad that people, I wish more people would see that and understand it. And when I see people just saying, yay, take my rights away, yay, government protect me, I'm just like, no, that's not the government's role. And what they've done is they've uneducated our children in what it is exactly the rights of liberty and freedom means. They've beaten it out of them to the point where now free speech, it's like, oh, that's okay if you can't say that, or it's okay to silence this person because they're an anti, I don't even want to say, but an anti this or an anti that, or a supremacist this or a racist that, or whatever it is they want to do to silence your speech with a label that is just, it's just a lie and a means to do what this communist ideology and the total control of the human movement and people, and it's terrifying. And when we look at these states, like in LA right now, they are about to use a weird monitoring system on the children, which is basically a biometric security state within the LA public school system, where these kids are signing into a thing, and it's going right directly to the states. And people are like, yay, we're going to be safe from this, because the government is going to protect us. And I feel like our society has been dumbed down into this, and that's why I hope the great awakening happens, like people start to really say, this is not okay. free speech matters. Private
There's
businesses shouldn't be able to discriminate if you're going to go in there without a mask or without a jab. I'll just say, I think jab is the word we could get through without getting totally censored if we say jab.
Oh, cool. I love that. I love that. There's a school, I forget the name of it. I was reading about this the other day. They're now putting, in the U.S., overseas. I think it was somewhere in Europe. But so in Europe, kids are already getting vaccines. Like it's not happening in America yet, but they're getting. And for kids, they were talking about this new little labeling system. Kids who haven't been vaccinated get a button, a pin. And so what does that tell you?
Wow.
They are going to be, that is meant like the Jewish star, right? Like how Hitler made the Jews wear those stars to as if, to embarrass them and to get, Jews and Germans who had lived together forever, and then they started through little visual pictorials and things like that, taught them to hate each other, taught them like, oh, well, look who that's the, and so that's what's happening. Like making people wear something that shows you have or haven't been vaccinated, that's really bad.
It's bad.
And so, yeah, and people say, oh, it's nothing. Okay, well, it always starts as nothing, right? It was 14 days to slow the spread. Here we are, 14 months later, okay? So and they will just keep pushing and it's, I think it's just really important for people like you do. Some people say to me like, why aren't you tired of doing that? And it's like, well, somebody has to. Like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. The people who can speak out or who have the time. I know you're a busy mother and businesswoman. You don't even have the time, and you still do it because it's so important. And this freaking governor. Oh my God, Connecticut is just, they just extended the emergency powers again. I thought, did that happen?
Yeah, I heard that. What really upsets me about this too, and we'll have to plan a show where we dive back into the Lamonts because there is a petition out there, guys, or something that the Republicans have put together. Someone said it's not a petition, it's a survey. I don't know. I signed it. I think as many people should sign it as possible in Connecticut to let the Republican Party know that, yes, we do care about this. Yes, we are aware of this corruption. And your research has blown this open for them. And I find it interesting how we had that troll recently. Not recently, this is over the summer. Everything is such a blur with the COVID. But
Jody?
Over the summer,
what's her name? Jody Turner?
Yes.
Something?
Yeah. There was an interesting connection to that recently because of I forget the name. What was the name of the Rossi family was giving out free masks.
Rossi Family Foundation.
Yeah, they was giving us some free masks in East Hampton, but they ain't nothing free, I said. My senator was putting that out in an email, like how wonderful the Rossi family is. This is Senator Norm Needleman in a 33rd district, who is, by the way, in the Rich Man Club. And he is Mr. 5G. So he's helping to implement the 5G, the technology portion to the total lockdown of our lifestyle for the foreseeable future with the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, all that stuff matters. It matters a lot. It's going to be China, the United States, and the global elites kind of working together to enslave all of humanity. That's what I'm seeing.
I just wanted to tell you this one quick thing. I thought of you the other day when I needed to get my phone. I like to run my phones into the ground. Like I don't like spending tons of money on new phones.
Yeah.
So I had my old phone for like 6 years, and finally it was just like, I went to multiple different places, and there was no option to keep, there was no option to say, I don't want 5G. So I I would have had to do, I didn't want 5G. I would have had to. I ended up signing up with Cricket Wireless.
Wow.
Because they allowed me to not do a 5G phone.
That's good to know. Cricket Wireless.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
$35 a month for unlimited.
Wow.
Bananas. Yeah, unbelievable. And I was like, I really don't want 5G because there are a lot of really bad health problems that can come.
Absolutely.
So it's cool, and I thought you'd be proud of me.
I love that. So that's great to know, guys. So if you want to get your update your phone or whatever, or you want to get out of the 5G option, that's really good to know because I've had the same phone for a while myself, and it's still working good because I haven't done an update since all this crap happened because I don't want its sensors on my phone. So that's good to know. Cricket Wireless.
So smart.
But that's what they're trying to do. It's all connected with the 5G, all of this, the social distancing, the masking, the jabs, the climate change. It's all connected. And when we look at the Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party and seeing those connections that you so eloquently placed together, I appreciate you and all your research. I don't want to go too long because we're about an hour and 15 in. So anybody who just tuned into this, when we end, go check it out because you can see all the research that Victoria did. And let's try to connect on Mondays and you fill me in on all this stuff. We got work to do, and I think this is the only way that we're going to get there. And I just also want to thank the people that support the J. Cherry Foundation that makes this show possible. We were able to do a bunch of updates to our computer, so the stream is running beautifully right now. We got a server to hold all our videos because it was crashing the system. I was like, I can't do any more videos because my system is crashing. And I was able to get a server. So the generosity and the support of the people who have donated to the work that
you're an amazing, person.
You are too. So thank you. God bless, Mama. I love you. Thank you so much. Tomorrow I'll be live with Josiah Dan. He's a nurse, and I have to have him live in his studio tomorrow because he was on the Alex Jones show. Oops, I shouldn't even say that. They're probably going to ban me. He was on the Alex Jones show. I was shooting a video of him. There was a couple of videos of him way back and when the beginning of the COVID thing, and these videos went viral. Alex Jones picked it up, ran some of the videos, had him as a guest, and ever since then, Josiah has been heavily censored. He cannot get on Skype. He cannot do a Google Chrome interview with me because he can't get into Chrome because he was on Alex Jones, and they're trying to shut him up. I'm going to be live with him tomorrow. I think it's like tomorrow afternoon. But so stay tuned for that. We'll be live. He's going to be in the studio with me. It'll be my first in-studio guest that I think that I've had, actually. So I'm excited to bring somebody into the studio and do this. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, so tune in tomorrow. Awesome. Thank you again so much, Victoria. You're awesome.
Oh, please. Thank you.
All righty.